welcome to another episode of the Semicast. Anthony's back from the place he went the other day. I actually found out that I didn't actually know where you were going because somebody asked me, so where is Anthony? And I was like, he's away? Somewhere? Where'd you go? How are you? You're back.
I went. I'm back. Who asked you where I went first?
My wife?
Oh, okay, good. I was wondering whether we had a celebrity stalker or something like that.
No. She just went, so where'd you go? And I'm like, somewhere else?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So we got in the car and we went east. We've been west plenty of times, sometimes even with you. We went west to Warrnambool and places like that.
Kerman's
we decided
hamburgers.
we'd go east.
Cool.
As east as we could go for a short time there. The rest of Victoria was the western suburbs to us. Camberwell, Glen Iris, Toorak, western suburbs of Melbourne.
They are
western
technically
suburbs
west.
to us.
They are a bit westy.
Lots of people hanging around in their McMansions wearing moccasins.
Yes.
Moccasins are always the sort of go-to stereotype.
It's only a stereotype because it's true, and I can tell you that from living in the western suburbs, that I've seen it around. I've seen it.
Is it still true, or is it not true anymore?
It's getting less and less true, but it's still an element of the western suburbs that is that way.
Yeah. Moccasins have been replaced with punching.
Yeah, punching and stabbing. I once almost went to work with my moccasins on, and that was only because I was driving my car and I had to stop and get petrol at the petrol station near home, and I stepped out of my car and I went, that's pretty comfortable. And I looked down and I was like, oh, I've got moccasins on. What the hell am I doing? I'm upholding this western suburb stereotype. And for a split second I thought, I could just get it. No, go back home and change your shoes. So yes, it can happen to anyone.
Yeah, so we ended up in Mallacoota, which is about as far east as you can go.
Yeah.
Then worked our way, apparently these small towns, these sort of resort towns, when it's not strictly school holidays, like the last week of school holidays, they tend to close, like everything closes.
All right, okay.
I'm sure you've heard of Gabo Island.
Yes.
Yeah, we were going to go there, but they closed the whole island.
So it's like the Monday fish and chip shop closure, but for the whole island.
Yeah, they were removing asbestos from the dock there or something like that. So they just said, we're just shutting it all.
So what do the people do who will live there? Do they just stock up for the day and just go, all right, well, nothing else is going to be open?
They probably own boats and they can probably just land anywhere.
Oh, right, okay.
I did do some, there were people renting out kayaks and boats, and I did do some rough calculations with Google Maps. If we hired a boat here, maybe we could just go. Can anyone stop us from just getting off the boat and going onto the island?
Welcome to Silent Hill.
Yeah, pretty much.
Show up, it's all foggy, the radio's crackling. Yeah. Uh-oh.
Strange woman who looks exactly like my wife following me around.
Yeah, who is probably your wife.
Yeah, it was probably my wife in this case.
Yeah.
So we went to go to a World War II bunker, and that was only open on Tuesdays during the school holidays. So.
You would think a bunker should be open all the time. You shouldn't have to go, hey, wait, we can't have a war yet. It's closed.
Yeah, so my wife was a little bit annoyed at that. So I said, tell you what, let's find some other things to do in nearby towns. And we'd meant to go north after going east up through New South Wales. And so we figured out that we would go to, there's a museum at Eden, a killer whale museum, because apparently I didn't know this, but killer whales for whalers in Victoria were kind of like, in New South Wales, were kind of like sheepdogs. And they would herd the other whales sort of close in. And then the whalers would kill them, and then the killer whales were allowed to eat the tongue and the lips off the other whales, and then the whalers could take the rest.
How could they police that? How could they just go, no, you killer whale, you don't eat the rest. Oh.
It was actually written into a law that if you're a whaler, you had to, and a killer whale assisted you in a kill, you had to let it eat the lips and the tongue.
That's awesome. So like a sheepdog would be named Bluey. Would these be like Whitey?
They all had names.
Right.
The head of the killer whale pod was called Old Tom.
Wow, this is like some Moby Dick shit.
Yeah, no, and so Old Tom died at one stage, and so they pulled him ashore and I guess rendered him, and now his bones are in the killer whale museum.
That's cool.
In Eden.
I had no idea that they used to use killer whales for hunting other whales. Wonder when that became taboo.
That was fun.
Because you couldn't do that now. Or could you?
No,
because it's like another whale is leading it. It's like, hey, we're not doing it. It's the other whales, and they just happen to be rounding them up and killing them.
I think the part where you have to have the huge vats for rendering the blubber and everything like that.
Oh, right, okay.
It kind of gives it away.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So then we headed to Marin Beulah, and we couldn't remember what we were going to do in Marin Beulah, so we went to the tourist information desk And we said, we're here for an hour or so. What can we do? And they said, oh, you can walk up and down the boardwalk. And we thought, well, that's a bit dumb. So we walked up and down the boardwalk. And I'd taken the tourist information newsletter. And then I remembered that they have an aquarium there, and that's what we planned to do. And the lady at the tourist information thing didn't tell us about the aquarium. She told us about the freaking boardwalk.
Was the lady very nice? Was she
Yeah,
like
she was
welcoming?
trying. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just the main requirement for a welcome centre is to have a friendly person there. Even if
Yes.
they don't know anything about the surrounding towns, it's like, well, you're like the happiest of everyone here. You get to be the welcome person.
Yeah. The weird thing is that Mallacoota that has very little, it's like a sleepy sort of caravan park town.
Yeah.
They have this huge tourist centre, and Marin Beulah that was like peak hour in the suburbs, just during the day, there was nowhere to find parking or anything.
Yeah.
That just had this shack with some people in it.
Yeah.
It's like, you two should swap tourist information centres because obviously Marin Beulah needs the larger one.
Well, you know, they've each got
So
their
we
own
went to the-
certain small town charm.
Yeah.
So when you were saying that those places were, you called them small resorts or resort towns? When does
Yeah.
it stop being a country town and start being a resort town? Because out west, we would probably call them country towns.
When it's close to the beach.
Oh, okay. Is that just the technicality? We just need more
I
beaches
guess,
and
yeah.
then we can just be a little bit more classy.
I don't think you can have an inland resort. Maybe if you have it on a lake, you possibly could.
could do
Resort
that.
seems to indicate being close to a body of water.
I suppose.
I don't think being close to the wetlands in Laverton, it's not a resort.
Or you just don't want to be in the Werribee resort.
No.
It stinks a little bit.
So anyway, we went to the aquarium and that was horrifying for a wide variety of reasons to me. I have a phobia of going into the water, and so seeing things like, or going into deep water, so seeing things like octopi and
Yeah.
stingrays and things like that. It's like, yeah, now that I know that you're down there, and like even just regular fish, because like some of them were really big.
Have you been to the
It's like-
Melbourne Aquarium?
No.
So did this aquarium have the tunnels that you walk through? So there's like water
No.
all the way over the top. You should or shouldn't
Yeah.
ever go to the Melbourne Aquarium because it's like you're just walking.
See,
on a
that
sea.
wouldn't bother me.
Really?
Because the glass is there. It's like if you there, so we're going to put you in the tank. One, I would probably do it because my fear isn't quite that strong.
Yeah.
But two, there's still that thought in the back of my head that says "fuck the ocean" and everything in it.
You can swim with the sharks in Melbourne Aquarium. They can
Yeah,
put you in with them.
There's a great deal of study that's gone into sharks and why they occasionally mistakenly bite humans. So no,
It's just not because they get annoyed. It's like, fuck off. I'm trying to sleep. My house.
no, they
Get out of my
just
house.
mistake you for a seal.
Okay.
So then we went up to Bega after that, and
Did they have
went
cheese?
to they did. We went to the cheese factory, and they had a bit of a Piss Week World Museum there. If you're familiar with the Late Show from the 90s.
Yep.
But the interesting thing was they had Bega's cheese grades. It goes all the way up to like Old and Bitey, which is their sort of sharpest tasting tasty cheese.
That's the one I buy.
They have one above that.
Ooh.
It's only available from the Bega Cheese Museum called Bega Heritage Reserve.
Mm. How's
And
that
we had
different?
some, and it was sharper than Old and Bitey, but we didn't have any sort of refrigeration with us on a road trip, so we couldn't really take any home.
Yeah. We were coming back from Beechworth one day and we stopped off at a cheese place in Marysville, I think. And there was a cheesery or a cheese factory.
A cheesemonger.
Cheesemonger. It was a big place. And my daughter really loves cheese, almost to the exclusion of everything else. And we pulled up and I said, hey, we're at a cheese place. And she looks at me and says, I had a dream about this. I had a dream I went to a land of cheese. And so we went to a cheese place and she was having such a really good time. There were a whole bunch of snobby yuppies standing around eating some type of cheese going, it's got kind of an ashy taste. And I'm holding my daughter and she just looks at the lady giving out cheese and goes, I want some of that cheese. So I pushed my way through all the fancy rich people and she got cheese and she jammed it into her mouth and they're all just looking at her like, what the hell's going on? This is like really expensive cheese. And she likes really expensive cheese. So you know, she was having a ball.
Well, if you ever up Bega way, then she would really like the little shop they've got there. Because they also do like milkshakes and fudge made from the local dairy stuff as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a bit of fun. And sort of, so then we just wound our way back to Melbourne through Meetung, Warburton. I'm not doing this in order if anyone's paying attention. Port Albert, where we stayed at a
Prince Albert.
a fishing... No, not a Prince Albert.
Okay.
A fisherman's shack that had been sort of like, I guess, restored and had sort of modern amenities placed in it.
Yeah.
And we went to get fish and chips on the pier. the fish and chip shop on the pier didn't do hamburgers, so we went to the pub that
blasphemy.
also does fish and chips. And the guy who owns the pub has like an old 80s Ford limousine with a bull bar on the front.
Oh,
and
cool.
he will drive you home if you've had too much to drink, because honestly, Port Albert's not that too large a place.
Is the bull bar for knocking over other drunkards who are in his way late at night?
I don't know. It was a strange place because, like, you look at the map of the town that they've got in, like, hey, here's your information board that's, you know, those things that are around everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And our street connects with a street, and we're staying on Queen Street. It connects with a street further up. But one house up from us, there's just a big thing that says road closed, and there's just like a swamp wetlands thing, and it's almost like they went to develop it, but just never got that far. And so they drew up all the maps and everything, but the road doesn't actually go there. It's sort of been slowly reclaimed by the
swamp,
by sort of nature. Yeah,
it's like, what's the Monty Python thing? We built a castle in the swamp.
Yep,
fell
down,
over, and we built another one, and that one stayed
and
up.
It fell down.
Nope.
It burnt down and then fell over.
Yes. So they've tried to build things there, and it's just, nope, it's just the swamp. That's just the swamp end of town.
So I spoke to my wife's dad, who knows everything.
Yeah.
And I think what he said was there was supposed to be a ferry that stopped there from somewhere else, but
you mean
its destination got moved.
You mean a ferry, not a ferry.
A ferry. Sorry, it's my northern suburbs accent.
Oh, la-di-da. Everything's a ferry or an angel.
You're a fairy.
I am.
But it ended up being sort of, the port was never built, so the interest in the town's significantly less than it was actually supposed to be. So they had all these plans, but never put any of them into action.
It would have been way more interesting if it had a ferry.
Yeah. It would be just like when I played Zelda on the train. I'd have to hide it from everybody else.
Yeah, because those ferries are special.
So that was our holiday.
Cool.
We did 2,000 kilometers in my wife's crappy Daewoo Lanos because my car was being fixed at the time.
Oh, right, okay. And it survived, did it?
Yeah, it did. It's just that every time we tried to do something, it was just, oh yeah, we'll go there. And you'd sort of drive on the freeway and then you'd turn off down a very badly sealed road, and then eventually it would just turn into a dirt road, and it's like, well, you want a new car and this is shortening the life of this car, so you're going to get your new car sooner.
This car could rattle apart at any second.
Yeah, pretty much.
You need to tighten every single bolt on that thing now. They're all just a little bit looser.
It was serviced just before we left. I'm thinking of taking it straight back and telling them what we did and asking them to have another look at it.
It's like, so you've done the 15,000 k's? Oh, no, we've just driven it on dirt roads. You know, it's not for that. You needed to just get a lift kit for it and some giant tires, and then you would have been fine.
Just a 4-cylinder Korean piece of junk. That if my wife is actually listening, I don't actually think your car is a piece of junk. It's just never supposed to do the things that we made it do on that holiday.
It's not an F-150, let's put it that way. Or it's not a Land Cruiser. It was meant for sealed roads.
People screaming down these dirt tracks in their 4-wheel drives, and we're sitting there going down there at like 30k an hour because, you know, anything more than that, and if we hit too much corrugation in the road, the car tries to shake itself apart.
Did they just look at you and shake their heads? It's like, what the fuck are these guys going? And you're like, no, it's fine. We're going well. It's all right.
Something like that. So. My wife actually has a little phobia of dirt tracks because she comes from the country.
Yeah.
No, she did beforehand because she comes from the country and she has 3 older brothers who were a bit blasé about driving carefully.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Getting sideways on dirt tracks?
Yeah, bringing the back of the car around was a regular occurrence.
Right, okay. Back of the car is now the front of the car for just a split second. She just got some trail bikes and just went down that way.
Yeah, they had a lot of, what we were watching, there was a
quad
thing
bikes.
that they had a lot of warnings about quad bikes. Like TV in regional Victoria and New South Wales is very different to TV in the city. For one, there's a lot of ads about mining and how awesome it is. Every ad break, they would play one of those mining is great ads.
Welcome to Mineco.
And there was this really sort of, like, have you ever been sort of scarred by an ad, like when you were a kid? Is there any ads that you can remember that?
I can
remember the Grim Reaper AIDS one?
I've never been scarred by it, but I know a lot of ads. Like, they're ingrained. Like, my dad picks the fruit that goes to Cotties, makes the cordial that I love best.
Right, so you're never really scared by an ad when you were really young?
No. I reserved my petrified nature of a child for my cousin's toys. He had a couple of toys that really freaked me the fuck out. Right. Like that monkey with the symbols, with the beady eyes, and I was petrified of that. I would cry and run away. And he had this other doll that was like, it was called Hugo, and it was like a face identikit doll where it was a blank slate, but then you could stick eyes on it and you could stick scars and I was petrified of that thing too. So I ran and hid whenever they played with that.
Yeah.
So, no, not ads, just toys.
So anyway, there's this ad about this guy driving a quad bike on a farm and it tips over and then the screen goes black and you just kind of slowly hear him choke to death because his neck's broken. And I'm thinking, God, this is traumatic for me. What's it like if there's a little kid who's up watching TV?
Well, apparently quad bikes are dangerous. Like quad bikes...
Yeah, so that's why we didn't hire them.
They just get a hearse whenever they hear someone getting on one and they hear it start up. They go, oh, let's get the hearse out because this guy's going to die.
Is that like how the old 1980s Lamborghinis would be shipped with coffins in their boots?
Were they?
Yeah. Well, that's the running joke. I think I heard it on Top Gear or something like that, is it? Because this car goes fast and it doesn't turn real good, nor does it have good brakes, so you're going to wrap yourself around a tree sooner or later.
Yeah. I saw a Lamborghini Countach once when I was young, and I was really excited because that was my favorite Transformer, Sideswipe, and he was Lamborghini Countach. And the back window of a Lamborghini Countach is not that big. It's probably half the size of an A4 page. It's just this little slit. And I think
as much as is legally required.
Yeah, and I think the way that you would actually back up in that is to open up the door because they had those very vertical lifting and just poke your head out and then back that way. I've seen that being done before.
Just hope you're not backing back under a low bridge or something.
Yeah, because I don't think the side window's opened either.
Yeah, so that was our holiday.
Cool.
What did you get up to?
Nothing really. I was tried to do some streaming and my internet has just been absolutely terrible for the past couple of weeks.
Good old Australian internet.
Yeah. Considering that I'm paying for the faster internet and I'm not getting it, I'm thinking of just dropping it back down to the not faster version of the internet because that's all the speed I'm getting. And because I'm on cable, I'm not guaranteed to get the speed that is advertised. It depends on the amount of people on the line, so who knows?
I don't think you're guaranteed on ADSL either, nor you're guaranteed on the NBN.
Okay, you just guaranteed something? You're guaranteed a connection?
You're guaranteed to pay for a connection. That's what you're guaranteed for.
So I tried that a few times and then it didn't work, so I haven't actually done the last 2 Friday Night Fights. I didn't get to stream out playing through Final Fight or Double Dragon, which I was planning on as well while you were away. So I didn't get to do anything that you were away. Just played some games myself quietly in the office here. And hopefully we can make some use of them right now because I didn't get to post anything. Did you play anything while you were away? Did you see any fish and chip shop arcade machines that you wanted to have a go at or any pinball machines in pubs or anything?
I did not touch a video game while I was away.
Okay, cool. Just some driving games.
Yeah, basically, I played Daytona USA for a week.
Cool.
Without a break.
Yeah.
There's probably a better game that I can relate it to than that, because in Daytona I used to turn around and drive backwards down the track. But
that's not how you should drive on freeways around here.
No. But you can do that in the new Mario Kart, apparently.
You can. Have you picked up the new Mario Kart yet?
I have picked up the new Mario Kart, or as I prefer to call it, connection refused.
Oh, really? You haven't been able to play any online games?
No, I've mostly been playing with myself, so it's a very familiar feeling.
Okay, because I can play online if I'm in the front room because that's closer to our wireless access point. Because right here in the office, the Switch doesn't actually get wireless internet that well. I occasionally get one little dot and I can't connect to the store. So if I ever want to buy anything, I have to pick it up out of the dock, walk into the lounge room and sit on the couch for a while and do my purchases of the Neo Geo games I want to buy and then walk back to the office and play them.
Well, I'm sitting almost within arm's reach of my router here, and this is where I tried it. So
oh, wow, okay.
I have noticed that the Switch's wireless does seem to be a bit spotty at times.
Okay, well, hopefully something that they fix with the firmware update, because it's been all right for me if I'm in the right spot. It's probably just not. This probably just doesn't have a powerful antenna in there. They've probably done the joystick. We've put the antenna in the wrong spot inside the Switch as well.
Yep.
I don't know.
We put it in a place that's completely surrounded by metal and concrete. Yeah. And now it's not working.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, one thing, we did go to the Buchan Caves when we went on
Sorry, you went to the what?
Holidays. Buchan
Caves, yeah.
Not the Buchan Caves, as my wife thought. To which her friend corrected her and said, listen, it's not Buchan, it's Buchan. And then she said a word that sounds like Buchan, as if to demonstrate.
Duckin.
Yes, but if you want a place with no wireless or mobile reception, big-ass limestone caves are a real good start.
When I was young, we went to, I think it was Point Nepean, where they have, there's kind of a fort there, I believe. I don't know. I can't remember. It was so long ago. All I can remember from my trip to Point Nepean when I was young is we went with another family, a friend of ours, and me and this other kid, we decided that it'd be funny if we switched off all the lights in the tunnel because we found the switch to the lights. And there were like a lot of families and a lot of other people in the tunnel suddenly plunged into complete darkness. And we thought it was hilarious. And apparently, it's not hilarious. We got into a bit of trouble because of that.
It causes panic.
Oh, yeah. So, you know.
How angry was your dad at you then?
I don't think they were that angry. My mum and dad never super got really, really angry at me. I can remember that the other kid, he got into a lot of trouble from his dad. And I was like, man, I'm lucky I didn't get into that much trouble. And maybe I was just oblivious to the fact that I was still actually in trouble. But yeah. You didn't switch off any lights in the Buchan Caves?
No, but
plunge them into Buchan darkness?
No, the guide, Greg, who's an older chap, reminded me of my wife's dad.
Yeah.
He pulled a little kid called 1-8 out of the tour group and said that 1-8 was the leader of the expedition, and he would give 1-8 instructions and tell him to, you know, go through the tunnel, up the stairs, turn to the left, and there'll be a white plastic box there and wait there for him. And, you know, they were the controls for the lights, much like the ones that you touched.
Did he switch them off?
No.
Oh, the kids nowadays, they don't know how to have fun.
No, well, actually, he would have had to switch them on because they turn them off when there's no touring group going through, just because the limestone caves are sort of precious about light. But he would say, in the tunnel ahead, 1-8 probably won't have any problems walking through, but Greg will have to duck. And it was his way of telling the adults that, hey, the tunnel's very small up ahead. And in some of them, I was like crouching down with my arms pressed in against my side, sort of shuffling through this tiny little gap and thinking that if someone did turn the lights out right now, that would be it for me.
So you're lucky that I wasn't around when I was young.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Right. Did Greg, the tour guide, make any Buchan jokes while he was doing the tour? He goes, hey, switch on the Buchan lights.
We did 2 tours back to back. There was the Royal Cave and the Ferry Cave.
Yeah. As in the Ferry Cave or the Fairy Cave?
Ferry Cave.
All right.
It would be weird to name a cave after a ferry. Or a ferry, in this case.
Yeah.
But people asked pretty much the same questions, and he had pretty much the same anecdotes.
Oh, right, okay. It's just a routine.
So, yeah.
Oh, the life of a tour guide. Just having to say the same thing over and over again.
So, yeah, that was fun. But, yeah, Mario Kart 8 I got when I got back. I showed the same amount of self-control that I had when you said that you had a Switch.
Yeah, yeah.
And now that you told me that you had Mario Kart 8, I just went out and bought it.
I bought it on the day it was released. It's a pretty good version of that game, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm quite enjoying it. I'm looking at the little... I wish there was just a way for the game to sort of validate some of your skills, like drifting and things like that, rather than just watching a little video and trying to get it right.
Yeah. I mean, I was still in the mode of the GameCube Double Dash way of getting the sparks going, because didn't you have to hit left and right to get those going?
You did, yes.
And I was doing that, and I was trying to explain to my son how to get sparks. I'm going, so like you flick it left, then you have to flick it right, then and he goes, no, you just have to hold the way. And I was like, what, really? And then I did it, and I'm like, oh, okay. They've simplified sparks and added a new layer of sparks. You can get pink sparks now.
Yeah, no, I haven't got pink sparks yet.
They are there. They give you an extended boost time.
It's mostly just been me sort of racing against my own ghost and doing Grand Prix at the moment.
Yeah, I'm slowly unlocking car parts and doing Grand Prix. I've got a Pro Controller, so I've been playing it with that most of the time. So just docked on the TV Pro Controller. Although I have played it tabletop mode. I played that with my daughter with the 2 little Joy-Cons on their side. And that still worked. I mean, it wasn't ideal. The screen's very tiny. And when you have to have that tiny screen doing split screen, it's not the greatest. You kind of have to really, really be concentrating. But that works. We've also done a 3-player match with 1 Pro Controller and 2 Joy-Cons with the little snap-on side little sections. And that works. I actually had one of the Joy-Cons and my son had the Pro Controller, and I was still winning some matches. So it's not the ideal way to play it, but you can definitely get the job done with some Pro Controllers. Played 2-player split screen on TV. All the different modes seem to work really well. And I also haven't had any problems with online. Except for the fact I thought I was going really, really well. Like my first match online, I won. I came first. Was fine. Then the second match, I shot straight to the front again, and I did my first couple of corners, and I was thinking to myself, maybe I'm actually really good at Mario Kart. And the second I thought that, I got hit with a shell, and then I finished that match 12th. So I'm not good at Mario Kart. I just happened to maybe lock that first one out.
Sounds like it.
But
it's kind of like when I matched against a guy in Street Fighter V for the first time and actually managed to hit him and thought I might be actually good at Street Fighter V. Nope. I
did that on the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate stream. We did the Friday Night Fights. I did an online match and got my ass handed to me and only managed to hit the guy once or twice. And then I said, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to just jump back into playing single player. Because it probably wasn't helping the fact that I was trying to stream out at the same time and the internet was not that great.
He probably couldn't hit you because you were lagged.
Yeah, probably. Have you noticed in Mario Kart that the steering assist is on by default?
Yeah, I've noticed bits where I've been flying and I've hit a point at which it says you need to be on the ground now. It's kind of just shunted me onto the ground really quickly.
Okay, I've never had that. I've actually been able to travel really, really far flying, but I've actually... So by default, if you try to drive off the edge of something or if you try to hit something, it kind of half steers you around those things. It like won't let you fall off the edges, and if you're about to hit a wall, it'll kind of edge you around the wall, which I thought was a bit weird. And because generally in Mario Kart, I fall off things and I crash into things quite a lot. But I found that there's a thing called steering assist, which is on by default to help little kids be able to play the game. And you can turn that off, but it's not immediately noticeable how to turn it off. There's no settings where you can just set it off by default. You have to actually, whilst you're in a match, hit pause, and then it brings up the 3 different assist methods that it gives you. It gives you steering assist, it gives you auto acceleration, and it gives you motion controls. And you can switch those off, on and off individually, but you have to do it through the pause mode of a match, and you can't just set it generally.
Does it switch itself back on when you start a new game, or does it stay off?
It stays off,
right.
But to find the initial setting is actually really, really hard. So I suggest turning that off, because actually I think I can actually drive faster without it on. Like it's not just trying to turn when I'm trying to turn. It gives me more flexibility with being able to slide around corners and doing stuff like that.
I'm now trying to figure out if I can sneakily boot up my Switch and do that.
Yeah, you probably can.
Well, we've got precedent. We've had live Switch playing on the on the podcast before.
And my Switch is within reaching distance right now, so... so what else have you been playing since you've been back? Because you've been back for a couple of days.
While I was on holidays, I was reading Metro 2033, which is a Russian science fiction novel about something bad happens and the Russians retreat into their subway system and live there, and over time sort of stations start to become like towns and groups of stations start to become like countries, but there's all sorts of weird shit happening as well because there seems to be some kind of radioactive event that's happened.
Do they try to get pizza delivered while they're living in the sewers? Did they find a rat who can help them learn ninja?
No. Stop. No.
All right.
So what I did is I read as far as I could in my holiday, and then I came back and I played up to that point in the game.
Oh, so the game follows the book.
Yeah, but it leaves a lot of stuff out, I've noticed. Like, I've played through Metro 2033, the game, before, and just sort of going through the book, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, this is the part where this happens, but they kind of miss a lot of the detail, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
and because it's Russian science fiction, it's kind of a little bit long-winded about things.
Yeah.
It's sort of interesting. Well, one, Metro 2033 has an absolutely horrendous field of view, and it made me sort of nauseous to play it again, coming off things like Doom that had like a really good field of view.
Yeah. It's funny how just something like that can affect you because you don't get sick hardly ever playing games.
No.
You've done the whole, I'm going to live in VR for a while until I don't get sick.
Yeah, I played through all of Quake 1 and Half-Life 2 in VR without getting sick.
So it's funny just how just a little setting can send it off.
Yeah. Maybe it's because I'm getting older because I'd never gotten sick on Metro the last time I played it. So.
Okay.
So yeah, that's still a really interesting game. The aiming is a little bit weird because of the field of view, so sometimes, it gets a little bit hard to aim.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still a really interesting sort of place, I guess, is a weird sort of way to describe it.
A weird world?
They have they have this part in the book where the main character, he's sort of heading out for the first time from his station, and he's sort of like going out on his own. And so he's with these guys who are going to another station to bring aid. And something happens, like he feels this pressure on his ears, and he just notices that everybody else is falling asleep or sort of starting to talk monotonously.
Yeah.
And they're on like one of those trolley things on the railroad that you have to pump to move.
Yep.
And so he sort of pumps them out of it. But as he passes these pipes, he kind of like the pressure gets more and more on his ears until he passes them. And then it eventually gets better and better, and everyone else slowly wakes up. And so like the sort of what the author's trying to suggest is even though these people live in this place, there are parts of the metro where they don't know what's going on down there. And so these pipes connect to something. And so now as a result of that, this tunnel's not safe anymore.
Yeah. So they
but
seal it off.
In the game, it's sort of represented as like a big light coming down the tunnel and sort of blowing everything out. It's kind of difficult to what I'm trying to get around to saying is it's difficult to represent the sort of the nuance of the book through the game.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the first time that I've ever noticed that with a book-to-game conversion.
Yeah, I wonder if that's something that they could do better if it was VR, like if you could do the pressure in the head a little bit better than just on screen.
Yeah, possibly. You might make a whole bunch of people sick.
Well, maybe that's part of the game.
Maybe.
That's cool.
So there was Metro. I got excited the other day or yesterday because I saw there was a patch for Nier Automata on the PC.
Yes.
But it looks like it might have just been the patch for the upcoming DLC.
Oh, wow. So they're going to bring out DLC without fixing the game. Hopefully they don't.
Well, looks like it. So I went through and I messed with a whole bunch of settings and read a whole bunch of forums and articles and got it to kind of like a playable level. So I'm kind of playing that now and working through the side quests in the resistance camp and mostly attacking wild animals that I see, like moose.
They're surprisingly hard to deal with once you've attacked them.
Yeah, I know.
Especially when you've attacked them by accident and then they attack you and you're like, what? Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough. I'll have to fight you.
Yeah. I was leaving them alone until I figured out that they drop stuff.
Yes, they do drop crafting materials. That's a good, fun game. I'm still really enjoying. I'm kind of now enjoying the story more than I'm enjoying the combat. Because the one thing I don't like about that game is the camera, and it could be because I haven't found a good camera setting. The default one just tends to get a little bit caught on things, or just I don't know. When you're in a fight, I kind of sometimes can't make out exactly what I should be doing at a certain time. But the camera settings, that's a full ass page of different sliders and buttons and things. Oh yeah. So either they know that the default camera is not the greatest and allow you to customize it to your own free will, or that's just something that those guys do. But I haven't delved in to see if I can make the camera work. I mean, look, it's not a bad camera, but it's just I think it could probably be a little bit better. But the story is really, really good. It's getting... Apparently there's multiple playthroughs to get the full game, and I'm not finished the first playthrough yet, but things are starting to get quite interesting. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Well, I look forward to actually finishing one playthrough.
Yeah.
Going back to beating a giant robot to death with its own arm again.
Oh, I haven't done that again, but hopefully. Anything else?
Yeah, one I picked up really quickly was Scanner Sombre from... Introversion, the people who did Darwinia and Multiwinia and most recently Prison Architect.
Yep.
And they nicked off for a weekend in the middle of Prison Architect development because they needed a break. And they very quickly put together a game where you're going through a cave and you can't see, but you've got like a VR headset.
Is it called Point and Pin, the game?
Yeah, probably. It's a little kid keeps turning the lights off. You've got a VR headset and a LiDAR gun. So what you do is you just shoot laser points out and it kind of maps the cave in dots on your vision.
Like mocap the cave.
Yeah, pretty much. And so you can sit there and sort of really extensively paint one piece of wall, or you can just get a decent idea about what the cave looks like before moving on and trying to find the exit from where you are.
Yeah.
And I've just gotten to the part where I'm starting to find ruins. And I've got an upgrade for my LiDAR gun that lets me change the aperture of it, so I can either really focus on a point or spread the lasers out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool.
And I've found what looks either to be like a statue or a person. I'm not sure yet. So because I can't actually see it, I can just see its little outline. So yeah, that's an interesting one. It seems to be a very short, contained experience, and the price I think reflects that. It's like $5 or $6 or something like that.
That's all right. That's something I would just buy just if I'm a little bit interested in it.
Yeah. So yeah, I did that, and we'll probably put a video up at some stage because it's interesting to look at. The other thing I played was Strafe, which was a game that the publisher developer sent across for us to have a look at.
Yeah. Seems to be a very 90s ass first-person shooter.
Yeah.
They're going heavy into the 90s side of it.
So I've probably played an hour or two at this point, and so it's a randomized shooter. So you go into an area that's randomized, you shoot as much stuff as you can, you collect scrap, you buy ammunition and armor with the scrap, and you move on to the next level. Now, there's a theme through the game. There's some parts of it that I don't think are randomized, like the start of each level might be the same.
Yep.
So there's a little like a story there, but it's hard. So I haven't gotten past the second level really, and I'm not really sure how much is available in our preview copy, but I recorded a video of it this afternoon and we'll probably be popping it up tomorrow because it releases in a week, and if people want to have a look at it, it's they should probably have the video available. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's got a real interesting tutorial.
All right. Do you go through the tutorial in the video? Should we not spoiling anything in that sense?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I say, yeah, because you have to see this because this is some shit.
All right. I'm actually very interested in seeing this. I got an email during the week that the pre-order bonuses have gone out and you can get the soundtrack on audio cassette and you can get a whole bunch of, I think there's a vinyl version of the soundtrack you can get. You can get pogs of certain elements from Stray. So they are leaning heavily into the 90s. Are they going too far or does it suit the game?
No, it suits the game.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Like it looks 90s viewed through the lens of a modern video game engine because it has some of the niceties like anti-aliasing and things like that. Like if you really wanted to go 90s, you'd restrict someone to 640 by 480 and possibly only have very basic lighting support and things like that.
Did you ever play Blood Dragon, the Far Cry 3 80s thing?
No.
Because I think that was done well, but I think it was a little bit too self-referential inside some of the jokes. And I'm just nervous that this game is going to go down the same route. It's one thing
a lot of
to
the
do
stuff
the style,
around it is sort of self-referential, like the tutorial and the menus and things like that. But once you get into the game, it hardly ever even talks about that. It's just, or it doesn't even talk about that. It just well, there's a level full of guys and you've got all these guns. Whenever all you've got is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail.
Yeah. Okay, well that's promising then.
I didn't find it in this playthrough, but I found it in another playthrough where there was a puzzle where I had to find, like there was an iris scanner and I had to find the right head to open it. But you can only carry one thing at a time.
Right,
so
okay.
I would trudge to some far point of the level, pick up some person's head and then walk all the way back to the door and find it. It would go, So I just dropped the head there and then wander around a bit more, look for another one. There's this pile of heads sort of growing in front of this door.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, that's strafe.
Well, that's good. I might actually see if I can pick myself up a copy. Actually, I'll watch your video first and see whether I'm going to like it. That's good.
What about you? What have you been playing?
Well, there's Mario Kart Deluxe, which I've been spending a lot of time with over the past couple of days. Just getting a little bit more into Nier Automata, and that's how I'm going to say it, and you're going to say it differently, and I think that's just how it's going to be for the rest of time.
Ferry.
Yep. There's the Disney Afternoon Collection, which I picked up on the PS4. And that's a whole bunch of NES games they're kind of remastered, but not. They're still pixelated and they're still kind of true to what they looked like on the NES. But they've added a really cool feature, which I wish that they would add to a lot more of the really super hard early game remasters. So realistically, it's a collection of old Disney games. So there's DuckTales, DuckTales 2, Darkwing Duck, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers 2, and Tailspin. And because all those old games, they were hard because you bought one game and they kind of had to last and the games weren't that long. They just needed to be difficult. What they've added is a rewind button. So if you fail, you just hit the rewind button and you go back up to the point where you failed and then you can just try it again rather than having to end it and then go back to the start and then play all through all the part that you needed, that you were really good at. So it allows you to see a lot more of the game. I think it's because I've bought some remasters and played them just the start bit and gone, oh yeah, I remember these are really hard, and I've kind of gotten a little bit further than what I would have normally gotten and then given up because it's like, oh, okay, well this actually involves time investment, but not a time investment because it's a long game and I'm actually getting something out of it. It's just I need to master this, and this just takes that element out. But it controls the way it should. It looks really cool. There are a whole bunch of, I want to say a whole bunch, there's two. There's a TV filter and there's a computer monitor filter, so you can put scan lines on it, but I'm just playing it raw, seeing all those last jaggly pixels on my 4K TV, which is cool, and it looks great on a 4K TV. There's all the box art. It does a really good job of explaining how each of the games operate and what you need to do and what all the power-ups are. They've just done a really good collection of the games and not just made it so that it worked on a 4K TV and whacked it out there. I think some of the guys from the Video Game Preservation Society, Frank Cifaldi and Steve Lynn, helped out on this one, getting some of the original artwork for the boxes, which have been rescanned, and just getting it up to the stage where it's a fun game to play. So that's been really good. I've been spending a little bit of time with that.
So the Disney Afternoon Collection is missing what, Aladdin and The Lion King?
Yeah, but they were they Super Nintendo Genesis? They were. So this is just an NES collection.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I remember that the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers one, there was an old Flash animation around the time that Ultima Online and EverQuest came out where they were promoting a fake Chip and Dale MMORPG game.
So you can play as Chip or Dale, and those are the two character classes.
Yeah. It was quite obviously. Well, it was a humorous video where they had written their own music and even referenced Bill Cosby, which is a bit on the nose these days.
Yeah, I know. It's all of a sudden, all of your Bill Cosby albums, you can't play them anymore. I used to really like Bill Cosby when I was a kid.
Yeah, so did I. Well, we used to go on when we would go on the type of holidays that I just went on. That's what my mum and dad would put on the tape player in the car to stop my brother and I from going mental.
Used to love Rolf Harris.
Not anymore.
And his Dulux commercials. No, British Paints.
Right.
Trust British
You would
Paints.
not know your place in the world if when you went on holidays, your parents put on Bill Cosby and Rolf Harris to keep you entertained.
What now?
Yep. Yeah, your just entire childhood would be destroyed.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of everything that I know and love is turning to shit. Hopefully not everything. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. Final Fight, Double Dragon. Been playing a little bit more Parappa the Rapper.
That's supposedly really hard.
It is. It's really hard because they haven't done any... Like, this Parappa the Rapper is what the Disney Afternoon Collection's not. They haven't added anything to it. It is just a high-definition version of Parappa the Rapper. And I think it's just one of those things that you are reminded that back then there weren't a lot of the niceties and a lot of the hand-holding features or even a lot of the feedback that you get in rhythm games. It goes wrong and Parappa raps bad and then you go, what? But why? I thought I was hitting it right on the thing. And there's no indication that you've missed even though you think you have hit it. I think that's the reason why it's really, really hard.
If you want that these days, you have to go for like Project Diva X or something like that on the PS3.
Or just the DDR machines that you have to be able to move your legs faster than a human should be able to move their legs in order to do any of that.
Yeah, I played DDR not that long ago with my wife just to show off to her that, yes, I did used to play DDR.
And how'd you go?
I beat her. That was about it.
Right, okay. Were all the old favourite songs back still there? Boom Boom?
No, it was a modern sort of machine. And as a result, I didn't know a lot of the songs. I found one that I knew from like Fifth Mix or something like that. So
did DDR use licensed music now? Because I know when the Dancing Stage came out on Dancing Stage Megamix on the PS1, they used licensed material. But I'm not sure whether they still do it now.
No, I don't know actually. I haven't checked into the DDR scene for a long time.
Yeah. Actually, that's another thing that I did while you're away. I went to...
You played some DDR?
No, I didn't, but I went to a meetup with some other Australian podcasters in the
how did that go?
Australian Gaming Podcast Network, which is...
Checking out the competition.
Yeah, so I met a whole bunch of new people, and hopefully we can get some of them on, guesting on the podcast in the future. But a whole bunch of really good people who really love games, people who really love podcasts. There's a whole bunch of really great podcasts in Australia for games, and which some people should check out. But we had a meetup at Bartronica in the city, and I got to play a couple of video games there, a couple of arcade machines. So I actually
got to show them your moves.
Yeah, well, I played Marvel vs. Capcom on an actual original Marvel vs. Capcom machine, and it took me a little bit to remember how to do specials on that because they're not the double quarter circle forward punch or kick. They're the single quarter circle forward, and you have to hit two buttons. I was like, why can't I do the supers? And I figured it out eventually. But I'm all right at that on an arcade machine, I found out. And I ended up playing against somebody as well, and I managed to beat them. So I reckon,
well done.
I reckon Friday Night Fights is doing some justice to my fighting game playing.
Right.
Also played some NBA Jam, because I can't go past an NBA Jam machine. But what I did find was that because a lot of my NBA Jam playing has been on the main machine, which has 2 rows of 3 buttons sideways, the original machines, which I'd completely forgotten, the buttons are almost vertical, or they go in a kind of a vertical arc out to the right. So turbo's at the top, and then you've got your pass and shoot buttons below there. And that angle, holding your hand on that angle, I was getting a hand cramp trying to play the game. It's not as comfortable as on the main machine. But I won the match, so I got to do that. Play some Time Crisis, play some Galaga. If you get a chance to go to Bartronica, check it out. There's they've got a whole bunch of really cool machines in there, but no DDR machine.
Where is it?
It's on Little Flinders Street in the city.
Oh, okay, cool.
Games are $1 to $2 each, which is a far cry different than when I was playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for 20 cents.
Well, actually, no. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was always about $1.
I thought it was 20
Street
cents.
Fighter
Maybe it was not.
Street Fighter was 60 cents to $1, depending on where you played, and Double Dragon was definitely 20 cents.
Yeah. So the thing I didn't try, and I wanted to, next time I'm there, I might try it out. So this is back when arcade machines were really big and there were magazines out dedicated to arcade games, and I used to buy magazines on those. I had a magazine that was about, had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in it and had Street Fighter and talked a whole bunch of those type of things. And there was a trick in there for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to get extra lives when you were putting money in. And I should try it out and see whether it still works. It should still work because, it's the original hardware. And it's when you're dropping the coins in, if you quickly pushed the start button, instead of getting 1 credit per coin, you could get 5 to 6, which was because of a way that there was just maybe a bug in the machine. And that worked because I remember trying it.
Unless they've changed the coin hardware out.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure whether
to accept $2 coins.
Yeah. So, not sure. I should have tried that, but I didn't. So, maybe next time. Me getting myself thrown out of Bartronica for ruining their machines.
Yeah.
The other thing that used to be around back when you have to actually put money into machines to play, I'm not sure if it'd still work in other coin machines now, just not arcade machines, was a mate of mine from high school. He got out of an old hot water service one of the little clicker things that you would use to ignite the flame in a hot water service. And apparently,
yes, I have heard this.
If you put that next to the coin return, roughly where the micro switch should be, you could spark inside the coin mechanism and get free credits, which apparently worked, but I never tried it myself.
No, so, I heard that around a lot, and I'm suspicious of that because the type of spark those things generates, I don't think would be strong enough to trigger the coin mechanism. And also, the coin falls quite a long way before it's actually weighed, or a long way in regards to how the coin door isn't. I guess if you badly designed your arcade cabinet and put the mechanism right next to the coin door, then yeah, maybe. But yeah, I'm suspicious about those stories.
Well, the coin door on my arcade machine sitting behind me is super simple mechanically. It doesn't weigh the coin at all, I don't think. It just, there's, I think it's a size thing more than anything. And if it doesn't hit the size, it gets rejected. And it's a super simple mechanism. And it's got literally the same micro switch as in the buttons in the coin return. And as the coin passes through a piece of metal, it hits the metal, and then the metal moves out of the way and clicks the mechanism. So maybe it depends on the coin return. Because there are different coin returns that have lights and they're whole plastic ones. These ones are just got a metal front and they're a metal back. And I don't know, maybe it needs a different coin return.
I do have one story, for a first-hand story about actually getting free credits on a machine.
Yes.
There was an arcade, God, now I've forgotten the name of the style of, sorry, there was an Asteroids, and I've forgotten the cocktail cabinet, that's it.
Yep.
At a pub where my parents would take us for dinner every now and then. I'm not going to out the name of the pub. But if you gave the coin mechanism a swift kick, you would get a credit.
There you go. Maybe all coin mechanisms aren't created equal.
Yeah. I reckon, thinking about it now, I reckon what was happening is that the little piece of metal you're talking about had come loose, and by the swift kick just flapped it backwards and it smacked the micro switch.
Yeah. They should add a tilt sensor onto cocktail cabinets so that if you did that, it shut it down. Nope.
A lot of our lives when we were kids was spent trying to figure out how to get more games out of arcade machines for your money.
Or trying to get free lollies out of vending machines and things. Because, it's only between you and those lollies were separated by a pane of glass and someone with a really long arm, potentially.
Until they had those little doors that shut when you opened the thing to take it out.
Yeah. Well, that's all I've been doing. Let's move on to some news. There's been a bit of news that's happened since we were last together. First of all, apparently, Nintendo are reportedly going to release a mini SNES.
Surprise, surprise.
You would have had to have been silly not to think that if they were pulling the mini NES off the shelves that they weren't going to replace it with something else. I'm sure it's going to be very, very similar. Probably short controllers again. HDMI out. It'll probably have 30-ish games, depending on the storage you can get on one of those things. Those games are pretty small anyway.
Yeah. I kind of just wish they had have had the mini NES for sale until everybody who wanted one got one.
Yeah. How many of those did they sell in the end? Do you know?
2 million.
That's all right.
It is, but, there's obviously still people out there who are waiting for it.
Yeah, no, completely. And look, half the people are probably just buying it to have a mini NES or a mini one of those little cute little boxes to sit on the shelf.
Mm.
I mean, that's where mine will probably end up. But, I'll probably try and get a mini SNES, but I can imagine that because everyone knows that these things are probably going to be limited, that they'll probably be harder to get. There'll be more people buying them just to sell on eBay, and it's just absolutely going to go crazy. Because that's also the console that had the better game library, I think. There's a lot of good games out there.
The SNES or the NES?
The SNES.
I think they're probably both about equal in sort of my remembrance.
Mm.
You definitely had less sort of janky, broken crap by the time the SNES came about. You don't have like Bible story games on like bootleg Nintendo cartridges.
Yeah. But I think if you were to choose,
that's kind of where I want to be as the janky bootleg Nintendo cartridge world, because that's where the interesting stuff happens.
Well, chances are someone's going to release a janky bootleg NES-shaped box that you can put your own games on, and then you can put all your janky games on there.
I have considered making that myself.
Yeah, just don't put any of the good games on there. Just make sure that they're all only the bad games.
Maybe we could do that and just get some Raspberry Pis and some controllers and just somehow fabricate something that looks like a mini SNES and just leave it somewhere, but instead it's got like Billy Graham's Bible blasters on it. It's like all off-brand.
Yeah.
And then they look really close and notice that it says like Nintendo or something. It's an off-brand.
It's the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yes, that's the one.
We can also make a small arcade MAME machine that's just got all of the Mahjong games on it.
I heard something today. How many arcade machines do you think they made worldwide for Ninja Baseball Batman?
Oh. So I've never seen an original one. So I'm going to say quite low. So maybe 20?
No, actually a little bit higher than that, 43.
Yeah, I've never seen an original one. I wouldn't even know what one looked like.
That's not very many.
Is that original machines or original boards?
I think it might be original machines with the marquee and everything.
Right, okay. So they probably would have made
Although
more
I
boards.
don't know if they sold a conversion kit for Ninja Baseball Batman.
That was a fun-ish game. I'd play that occasionally.
Yep.
Okay. Well, there you go. A mini SNES.
Yep. Hang on, are we going to get a mini Neo Geo at some stage, or have we already had our fill of mini Neo Geos that were terrible, like the handheld one that came out a couple of years ago?
They've not... Is it the Neo Rage, was it? I can't remember what it was called.
I think it was called the Neo Geo X.
Yeah, okay.
It was gold.
Yes.
Apparently it was terrible.
Yeah. No, they have never made a really good one of those. Yeah, it's kind of a hard thing because I wouldn't like nothing more than to have a little mini Neo Geo like the mini NES with just all the Neo Geo games on it. And I was thinking the other day that I have a fair amount of ways that I can play Garou, Mark of the Wolves. Because I was sitting there, I was thinking, because I've got 2 copies of the original arcade board. I've got it on Dreamcast, although I don't have a Dreamcast at the moment. I've got the game, which will make it incredibly hard to play. I've got it on PS2, the Japanese version of the PS2. I've got it on the main machine out in the lounge room. I've got it on Steam. I've got a version of it on MAME on this computer that's right in front of me, and I've also got it on just the Neo Geo emulator. So I've got like 8 to 9 ways of playing that game, which was a comforting feeling for me because that's one of my favorite games. I like collecting different versions of that.
Yeah.
Just in case it goes away ever. I'm trying to preserve it myself. It's just my one-manned attempt at trying to preserve that one single game.
Yep. Eventually we're just going to render it out as a comic book or something for people to read.
Yeah. So, yeah, a mini Neo Geo sounds good, but no one's ever done a really good one.
We should start a Garou Mark of the Wolves zine and just like a photocopy one and just leave it in universities.
Just like that. Just dodgy pictures of Rock Howard.
Yeah.
Just with these flaming wings.
Does people pick it up and say, what the fuck is going on
Yeah,
here?
exactly. It's trying to introduce people to the world of Garou Mark of the Wolves.
Yeah.
Just Terry Bogard running around trying to clean up after Rock Howard's making a mess.
Yeah, so the next one is if you are like me and you know about old busted-ass strategy games, you probably know about XCOM UFO Defense or XCOM Enemy Unknown, or I think it was even just called Enemy Unknown. X was called XCOM Enemy Unknown, and then I think in Europe or America it was called UFO Defense. But
now, was XCOM busted or was XCOM just really hard?
It was really hard, but it was laughably busted in some places. Like, modern AAA gaming isn't really interesting because nothing can go wrong because the systems are so tightly compartmentalized. They can only interact with each other in the way developers intended.
Yeah, yeah.
Where with the original XCOM, it's possible for you to land your Sky Ranger at a terror site and have your first guy, who's your heavy soldier, leave the Sky Ranger. He gets mind controlled by an alien off screen, and he then just fires a rocket at his feet and blows up the Sky Ranger and everybody else in it.
Yeah. So
You
a
sort of
lot of
don't
people
get
would
that.
call that a broken game, but that's not really a broken game. That's just a game that allows things to happen.
Yeah. It's kind of like Crusader Kings 2 or Dwarf Fortress, where you can almost see the developer saying, okay, if you want to take your heavy guy off the Sky Ranger first with all of his rockets and grenades, that's fine with me.
Let's just call it a lesson.
Yeah. So he is Julian Gollop, who developed XCOM,
Yep.
has got a crowdfunding page up for Phoenix Point, which is a similar game to, if you think of, say, the original XCOM and XCOM Enemy Unknown, the one that came out a couple of years ago, as a timeline, his one is kind of like the newer one, but closer towards the original one in its difficulty and its sort of
great.
scope.
What was Enemy Unknown like? Because I never played it.
XCOM?
Yeah.
Oh, it was really good.
Okay, because I really loved the first one, the first remake. No, what was the...
No. So, you're talking about XCOM 2.
Oh, yes. No, I am talking about XCOM 2.
Yeah, see, XCOM 2 I kind of like, but I kind of bounced off it and never finished it.
Yeah,
and
right.
I went and replayed it the other day and it crashed.
Okay, fair
For
enough.
a while, you would show up in my game because I made a character that looked like you and
Awesome.
a character that looked like me and my wife and Chris and Randall and it would try to pick characters from the character pool you had created. So I would load up a game. I'd forget I'd done it and load up a game, and you'd just be sitting there in the Sky Ranger smiling at me as we headed to the first terror mission. It's like, oh, good.
We're going to die.
Yeah. I know I didn't like XCOM 2 as much as the original
Because I
one.
have never bought that, but I really loved Enemy Unknown.
Yeah. So yeah, this thing's called Phoenix Point. I guess the bullet point lists are the system-wise, it's a little bit more complicated, and the aliens kind of evolve in that, like, say you've got... See, the thing is that the humans control the skies and the aliens control the oceans because they crashed in there first and they've taken it all over, and you fight over the land.
Yep.
So at the start of the game, the aliens resemble sea life, like crabs and things like that. But as you beat them, they will evolve a unit, so they might add a different weapon to it, and then if that unit does well in missions, they'll manufacture a whole bunch of them. Whereas if it does badly, they will scrap it and you'll get something else the next time you fight. So you can never really have a sort of a solid counter to a unit because you might find that it's changed. Like maybe it has more armor now, or it's resistant to explosive weapons or something like that.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see. And he seemed to say, and it's early days, so you can't really say, well, this is the way the game's going to turn out. But he was saying that as the aliens get a more and more of a foothold on land and they have access to sort of land creatures, they will start to absorb traits from them as well. And they'll look less like sea creatures and more like, say, humans or something else.
Okay, cool. Well, hopefully they let it be broken in the good way.
So yeah, I have actually backed that, so people should probably be aware that,
That's right.
I now have a stake in that game being good because I want to play it.
Is that a Kickstarter or is that a...
It's Fig.
Okay. So what does Fig do differently? Is that the one...
Fig allows you to kickstart things, but it also allows you to actually invest money in it.
Yeah, right.
And take a return if the game sells well.
Okay. But that's stupid money, is it?
Sorry, what do you mean by stupid money?
Well, do you have to pay like way more to be an investor?
Oh yeah, like $500 to $2,000.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Stupid money.
I thought you meant stupid money as in they would pay you in like Fig dollars or something like that.
So, well done. We've turned a profit and you get these kind of weird coins.
Yep.
You can only spend once the aliens
Monopoly
arrive.
money. Yep.
Yeah.
You get this Namco arcade token that Anthony got when he was in Singapore.
Yes, I actually still have that around somewhere.
Do you?
I saw it the other day. So there's that. Nier Automata has been released in China, which was a weird thing that apparently when it debuted for about $40, and then shortly after release, it got changed to $80 or $80 Australian, whatever the equivalent is in Chinese money.
If I can provide you with a snapshot of the Nier discussion forums on Steam
absolutely.
At the moment, it's basically a lot of threads that are just filled with kanji, and then a lot of other threads that saying, why is all the Asian writing here?
Is it a lot of kanji and a lot of question marks after the kanji?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm actually staring at one now that is kanji and question marks.
And then is there like English with question marks after a code? I don't know what you're saying.
I'm actually looking for one that has a response.
Oh, why would they do that?
Well, it's Square Enix as the publisher. The best guess I've come up with is that they probably intended for it to be priced at the higher price.
Oh, just got accidentally released?
Someone fucked up. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, someone's got this. God, this might have to be the key image for this podcast.
Okay, I thought we were going into letting off steam sooner than later.
It's just like a crap load of kanji and then an ASCII picture of a middle finger. It's like, that makes sense no matter what language you speak.
All right, let's go for that. Let's get us pulled off iTunes.
I'll take a screenshot now just for you.
Thank you. And yeah, there was also the PC patch which arrived, which you said you're really not sure what has changed.
No, they didn't release any patch notes or anything like that. It's difficult to know whether
the Nintendo patch notes, which was we've just improved some quality of life.
But this is terrible compared to that, and I'm wondering, is it Platinum that's doing this, or is it Square Enix? Or
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's been running okay on PS4.
Yeah, well, you would expect that.
All right.
That's kind of where their strengths have been. Sort of console.
Unfortunately, the ports haven't been that great. Let's move on to Nintendo. This week announced that there is a new 3DS coming out, and it's not a 3DS, it's a 2DS. They're releasing a 2DS XL. So,
I guess we now know why I couldn't find any 3DSs around Christmas time, and I was looking for one for myself.
Yeah, and I got my daughter a 2DS regular one for Christmas. And if you've seen the 2DSs, they're just like a slab that they don't fold at all. They've got a screen at the top, a screen at the bottom. They're like an unfolding 3DS, I suppose. And the new 2DS XLs, they do fold. They do have the hinge in them. They're basically just a 3DS XL without the 3D, which is, to me, because I've got a 3DS XL, I've never used the 3D on it. So this is potentially the best form factor to be able to play any 3DS games.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for one, there's one coming out.
I'm on the fence.
Yeah. It's weird.
I've already got a Nintendo handheld for the train. I should really put that money towards a PS4 or a lavalier microphone or something like that.
But there's some pretty good games out on the 3DS. It's got a very good library. You can play all your Professor Layton games. You've got those couple of Zeldas, the Fire Emblem. There's a whole bunch of Mario games. Luigi's Mansion was even good. So there's plenty of stuff. I'm turning my head looking at my shelf because I've got them over there on the shelf.
If I can just pop back to Nier Automata for a sec.
Yes.
We should get rid of letting off steam and just read out forum posts because they're infinitely better than what ends up on the reviews. All right. Are you familiar with the slippery slope argument?
In general. I've used it before. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Like this guy starts like with this Asian pricing thing. He says, get used to it because this is how games are now. And then at the end of it, he's saying everything's going to go up in price and games will only be a luxury for rich people willing to spend $200 on a game.
Yeah, of course. People are going to be walking around with their monocles that will be VR enabled monocles playing their games on their gold plated machines. So that, I'm sure Square Enix and Activision only want to sell 60 copies of a game to rich people. I'm sure that's the end game. If only we could sell less games.
Sorry that I interrupted you, but I saw that and I just thought this is too perfect.
No, it's probably good. It's more interesting than a 2DS. If you want a 2DS.
No, the 2DS is interesting because there are good games on that system and I kind of think I think you should eventually get one. And if you were to get one, that's the thing you should get. I don't think I bought the new 3DS XL that has the little analog sticks, and I haven't used the analog sticks for anything. So I believe this has those analog sticks too.
Oh, does it? Oh well, I thought that they may have nixed those because the 2DS doesn't have them. If it doesn't have those, don't worry about it because I haven't used them for anything. But that's a good machine. I've spent some good quality. Oh, you could play Picross 3D too. That's a fun game. You can play the Puzzle and Dragons. That's a good game.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. See, the thing is that what I really want to play is Yakuza 0.
You can't play that on a 3DS. So you should get a PS4 for that, I've heard.
Yes.
And not a 2D PS4. Get the 3DS one.
There was also a rumor I heard during the week that's completely unsubstantiated that there will be a complete PlayStation hardware refresh in 2018, like PlayStation 5 level stuff.
Oh, really? Yeah, but then you're still not going to be able to... Do you reckon that PlayStation 5, when it comes out, just theorizing... It'll be backwards compatible to all PS4.
I don't think so.
Because PS4, was backwards compatible to PS3, I believe. No, it's not. I'm thinking of the Xbox. I'm incorrect.
Yep.
So there's a full informatic we've just done. So we're getting ahead of ourselves a lot in this podcast. And, you take 1 week off and it goes to shit.
Yeah.
So 2DS
slowly
XL.
bring the ship back around.
Yeah. So the next bit of news is something I saw last night, and I got a little bit incredulous at the time. That
I think I was there when you saw it.
You were. I shoved my phone in your face and said, "We've got some shit to talk about tomorrow."
We do.
And Roger Jr., who is the boxing kangaroo from the Tekken series, he has been cut from Tekken 7 because of animal rights activists. And I have the quote.
The only acceptable situation that this can happen in is if Roger Jr. is now going to become a playable character in the Bloody Raw series.
He should be. He should definitely be a secret character. I mean, what the fuck are people thinking?
I think it was Peter, wasn't it? If we're going to call out the people who are actually responsible for this.
I'm not exactly sure because it doesn't really say. So I'm reading there's an article on PC Gamer. So Katsuhiro Harada, I've got a quote from him. He was speaking at a press event. He's the executive producer on Tekken. And his quote is, and I'm going to read it the way it kind of is written, and I'm pretty sure it's just because it's maybe translated from Japanese to English that it might sound a little bit bad. There was a video of a man's dog being headlocked by a kangaroo and he punched it in the face. It turned into a big problem, said Harada. People were complaining about him punching a kangaroo. It seems that in the last few years, there's a lot more animal activists. Even though they probably wouldn't play our game, they would still hear about a kangaroo in our game being punched, and would complain about it. So I think it's probably a preemptive thing. I don't think anyone's particularly has complained about it. So maybe it hasn't been because of animal activists. Maybe it's the threat of animal activists. But yeah, apparently you're not allowed to punch kangaroos in video games. Because the weird thing is...
Because one bogan on a video did it.
Yeah, exactly. But the weird thing is that I believe Kuma the bear is still going to be in Tekken 7 because, and I quote this, because he is obviously stronger than a human being. So you can have animals that are stronger than a human being in a video game, but not animals that are weaker in a video game being beaten up by humans. So you can't have a cat. So you couldn't make a remake of Bloody Raw nowadays because they were all cats and shit that were weaker than humans.
So I live in a place where there are quite a lot of kangaroos.
Yeah.
And I would invite Mr. Harada to come to Australia, and I will take him and show him the kangaroos, and I will invite him to get close to one and see if he thinks that it's still not a scary and imposing and strong animal.
No, I wouldn't. I've seen some kangaroos kick some people. I've seen a little Joey kangaroo kick a child. It was actually my niece, and we were at a sanctuary, and you could walk around, and you could feed the little kangaroos and the Joeys and the other animals, and she was getting really close to this kangaroo, and I could just sense that the kangaroo was going to turn at the time. So just as I went to reach out to grab the back of her jacket and pull her back, the kangaroo also reached out, kind of put both paws on either side of her shoulder and reached up and kicked her in the chest. And just as I yanked back at the same time, so she kind of copped it a little bit, but not as much as she probably... I think she was more scared than anything, and she kind of burst in tears and started being a little bit upset about it. But yeah, that was oh shit, I can see this thing's going to turn bad, and I know what kangaroos can do. So, yeah, apparently animal activism is invading our fighting games. I guess it's probably okay to have a dinosaur in King of Fighters 14.
We might have to do a fully informatic...
About animals in fighting games?
No, well, Katsuhiro Harada has tweeted about this and said, Peter has not said anything, and I said, we've worries, what are you talking about? So... I don't know, maybe...
That they've made the call and not Peter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Weird.
The kangaroo's got boxing gloves, for God's sakes. He can defend himself.
Maybe we should do what they did in, like, that Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, Kickboxer, and cover the boxing gloves in resin and dip them in, like, glass, and then the kangaroo might have a more even playing field.
Or maybe instead of glass, it's crushed up VB bottles.
Yeah, of course.
And then can also have a Southern Cross tattoo, and it can drive in on a Monaro. And then maybe it's even the playing field then.
Maybe a HQ King. Actually, no, Monaro would probably work.
Yeah.
Some guy in the comments has said kangaroos are much stronger than human beings. A kangaroo can disembowel a man with a single kick to the abdomen. That's the reason that kangaroo boxing stopped being a thing.
So there you go. Maybe we should start a petition, the opposite one, and it's to bring Roger Jr. back because you're underselling the strength of kangaroos.
Hmm.
There you go. That's news, unless you've got anything else to add this week.
No, but I have a feeling we'll be doing a fully informatic for that. There's a lot of people saying this is a marketing stunt by Namco, and Roger was never in Tekken 7 in the Japanese version, but we'll have to do some more investigation, I think.
All right. Well, it got me angry.
Figure that one out.
All of a sudden. So, that means we're going to move on to letting off steam.
Oh, I've missed this.
Yeah. I should have given you the MP3 of the music so you could have been driving around and listened to nothing but this in the car.
So,
what were you listening to in the car? Did you only have the one CD and then that's the only one that you know?
No. So it depended who was driving.
Right, okay.
Because we had a car kit for our various phones and MP3 players.
Yep.
So if it was me, I was listening to gaming podcasts.
Yeah. You were listening to Yakety Sax most of the time?
Yeah. If it was my wife, we were listening to her playlist that she made of various bands that she likes that, let's just say, they are not within my sphere of musical taste.
Yep.
But if she got sick of her playlist, we got treated to Savage Garden on CD. So
there you go. Savage
and
Garden.
Because she's found a way to delete all the radio stations off her radio and hadn't reprogrammed them, we had that Savage Garden CD on the way to the engagement party that you and I went to last night as well. So I am well familiar with Savage Garden at the moment, to the point where it's just background noise and I can like tune it out, kind of like white noise.
Because I was going to say, it's because of the advent of phones that can hold music and hold vast libraries of music and can connect to cars, you kind of don't have that thing where you're on a trip and you've only got the one cassette or the two cassettes, so you just listen to that mix and that mix of music becomes just ingrained into that journey. Although maybe to you, Savage Garden is going to be ingrained into your trip east.
We were flying to the moon and back.
So whenever you think of Buchan Caves, you'll think of Savage Garden.
I can't remember who drove to the Buchan Caves. I think it might have been me. I'm not sure.
Buchan Savage Garden. Savage Buchan Garden? I don't know.
Something like that.
All right, full informatic. No, letting off steam. The other thing.
Yes.
That's what the music that's playing. We don't even have music for full informatic. All right.
You skipped over a whole segment.
I did. So, letting off steam. Let's go.
Yeah, so I saw that everything had come out on Steam.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Which I believe that you played.
I have.
So I picked everything and a bunch of other games that are in the walking simulator genre.
Cool. I'm slowly collecting all the trophies in everything on the PS4. And not because I'm playing the game, but sometimes I just put the game on and it plays itself and I just have it on in the background. And you get the trophies. It's amazing.
Right. It's a brave new paradigm for gaming. So the first thing we have is a positive review from Spartanator with 4.2 hours in everything. He calls it Existential Crisis Simulator 2017.
Yeah. Especially when you get into the actual lecture recordings on it.
Right.
It's pretty funny.
Okay, well, we've also got a similar review from Chewy Waffles, but it's a negative review. He's got 0.2 hours. He says, life's too short to waste trying to figure out why you're playing a game.
It is one of those games, though. It makes you think in a deep, dark way about your whole life.
All right, okay. So I picked Proteus as my next game, which is a similar game, sort of lower graphical fidelity. There's an island, you swim to it, and there's stones, and something makes them move around, but you're not quite sure what. And you walk around and look at things, and there's a frog that hops up and down.
Yep.
So we have a positive Proteus review from Levry Bobby Orr with 214 hours in Proteus, which is impressive. I didn't think the game was that long.
Mm.
And he says, I played this for 4 days straight, help me. We follow up with a negative review from someone simply called 12 with 0.6 hours. And he says, no one has been high enough to play this game. So then I picked Dear Esther as the next game, which shares some similarities with, what was that other one we looked at? Stories Untold. But Stories Untold at least has you do things and solve puzzles. Dear Esther just walks around. It's very pretty and it narrates things at you and something terrible has happened. And so we got a positive review from Overlord Tamala, 1.5 hours, and his review is, did I win? And having finished Dear Esther and finding out what the game is actually about and what happens at the end, I'm not going to say I had the same thought, but it's like, this is the good ending, right? I did everything right. Then we have a negative review from Nazi. Not Nazis, but just a Nazi.
Oh, no, just one of them who likes playing games.
Yep. with 0.4 hours. He says, literally all you do in this game is walk at like 2 miles an hour. This is barely a game. Give me my money back, you degenerate hipsters. I bet whoever made this lives in Washington or something.
Wow. Some political ass shit going on in there.
I know. He's throwing some shade on Washington there. That's letting off steam. Walking Simulator Edition.
All right. We're going to go on to our second episode of our new segment. We skipped last week because we technically weren't here. But this is the segment titled, Is Grand Theft Auto 5 still in Australia's top 10 selling games of the week? And
So this means there's more chance of it not being in there because it's been longer.
Because I haven't found the drum roll music yet, I'm just going to do this again.
All right.
All right. Is Grand Theft Auto 5 one of Australia's top selling games of the week, ending 27th of April 2017? Anthony!
Yes!
All right. Let's move on to Full Informatic. Full Informatic. In last
God,
episode,
it looks long this week.
It is, but only because I did a bunch of wrong things in the question and answer episode, which I noticed while I was editing it.
Didn't we?
Yeah. We both did it. There's only 2 here, I think. In the last episode, I referred to one of Rikishi's moves as the stink ass, when we all know that it's actually the stink face, that WWE move where Rikishi would stick his ass in somebody's face and jiggle it around.
You better pray that Rikishi doesn't come around and give you a stink face.
I knew the second I said it that I said it wrong, but then in the heat of things, I couldn't think of the right word. But it was called the stink face. All right, and then we were talking about fighting games, and I was talking about how if you're going to add good fighting game netcode into your game, make sure it's the good shit and not the bad shit.
Yep.
I called that good netcode GPG, whereas you corrected me to a GPIO, and it's neither of those things, turns out.
GPIO is the general purpose input-output port on the Raspberry Pi.
And GPG is an encryption system. So we're kind of useless in this. So the name of the netcode middleware, as used by fighting games like Street Fighter 3, Third Strike Online, Skullgirls, Marvel vs. Capcom Origins, Darkstalkers Resurrection, Dive Kick, Killer Instinct, Lethal League, Injustice 2, it's actually GGPO.
Thank God Dive Kick uses it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Street Fighter 3, Third Strike Online, Dive Kick, Killer Instinct, they're all Iron Galaxy joints, so they know their shit when it comes to fighting games and know their shit when it comes to netcode.
Or they're just saying, we don't really want to have to worry about the netcode, so let's just use this thing that we know works.
Yeah, and it's really good netcode. It's pretty low, near zero latency, I mean, as zero as you can get for netcode. So there you go. That wasn't that bad.
Okay.
Full Informatic. There's only a couple of things.
1 or 2.
Then we've got releases of the week. What do you got for releases of the week?
Well, Dawn of War 3's out, but apparently it's bad.
Oh,
so
I heard you say that last night.
I'm not sure.
That's unfortunate.
Yes.
I liked a bit of Dawn of War.
Yeah, I sort of liked 1 more than I liked 2.
Yep.
But yeah, Dawn of War was still actually, I play it every now. Well, at least the first one I play every now and then. It's still a good game.
Yeah. Maybe they're just getting worse as they're going along. The first one was good.
Well, there is
second
that
one's
thought.
all right.
This is their next game after Company of Heroes 2, which was also apparently not that good.
Oh, maybe they should be spending some more time on it, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
The thought was that they had changed the gameplay to try to appeal to esports. And
good old esports.
As a result, it's not sort of a very good game. But that might just be people talking crap. Who knows?
You know, it could be as well. I mean, that's like Street Fighter 5 is still, whilst being a kind of a solid game, I think it's lacking a little bit of just the weird brokenness that is possibly in all the other games, just probably because it is a little bit, aimed at the esports, e-fighting. Everything has to be kind of right and buttoned down.
And fair.
Yeah. Can't have any of that janky shit in sports nowadays.
Can't have people shooting rocket launchers as they get off Sky Rangers.
Yeah. Imagine an original XCOM esport league.
Yeah, there kind of is.
There'd be some red flags on those plays.
You kind of get into like the weird world of, like, if you look at things like, so Binding of Isaac has Boiler or Binding of Isaac League Racing. There's sort of no official way in the game to esport it, but people have figured out a way to compete with each other in a single player game.
Oh, right, okay.
And Spelunky has the daily challenge, but beyond that, if you look at the actual speedruns for Spelunky, there's like all these categories like percentage of items, raw speed, percentage of completion, and all this sort of other like really intricate world record categories that people have built themselves above and beyond, and then built websites to kind of track all of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So people will esport your game if they think that it's fun.
Yeah.
They won't esport it if you put esport stuff in there.
Yeah.
Or if they think that there is an appropriate level of skill that needs to be attained to play it.
The audience has to find the game. You don't go out there and make yourself an audience.
Yeah, unless you're Blizzard.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they can just do whatever they want, it seems. What else? There was Scanner
Sombre.
Sombre?
Yep. There'll probably be a video of that up later in the week. But I thought we'd put Strafe up on Monday because it comes out in 7 days or so. So
yeah,
people might want to have a look at that one first.
Cool. And then there was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is fun. We've been playing it. I wonder if we can play together, if you can ever get online in the right
If I can
fashion.
ever get online.
I wonder if it's just general, like you just throw your hat into the worldwide realm, or I can say, hey, I want to race Anthony and a bunch of other people.
I've read that you're okay playing against your friends, but if you try to play with your friends against other people, that's apparently a bit hard.
All right, well, maybe we should try it out.
Maybe. Well, actually, I was going to say maybe we'd do a video for it, but Nintendo would probably content ID it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? We'll try it out. That's it for the releases of the week. Coming up on the site, we have our Strafe, Play Everything video. We've got this podcast will be coming out. Well, it'll be Tuesday if you're listening to this and you're listening to it on the release day. Then I'll attempt to do another Friday Night Fights. I wanted to play Wacko Wacko 7 for the last 2 weeks and haven't got to it. So we'll see if we can get that running. Anything else that might be happening this week? The Scanner Sombre.
Yeah, Scanner Sombre. We might get back to the Midnight Games Club, and there might be some activity on the Semi-Informatic Beefalo Ranch.
Oh, cool.
If I can wrangle my wife into getting back into that again. She's gotten back into Terraria lately, so that's consuming all non-Spelunky related time.
Yeah, and
She tends to just go hard into games when she gets into them. Like Spelunky is sort of her perennial, come home from work, put the water on for dinner,
just want to relax.
Do the Spelunky daily challenge. Then after dinner, if she's not watching TV, whatever she's into at that time.
Yeah.
So she was into Stardew Valley real hard, and then she went off that and went into something else. And then I showed her a video of Dan Reichert getting back into his old Stardew Valley save, and she got angry at how bad he was at the game, and so loaded her own game up and started playing.
Is it like Animal Crossing where there are weeds everywhere all the time?
No. You just sort of pick it up where you left off.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's going to do it for today. Welcome back. It's good to have you back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yes. If you have any questions or comments, please send them in to semicast@semiinformatic.com. Anthony will answer any questions about the East of Victoria. Or you can send us a message on Twitter. You can find us at Semi-Informatic. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, where you can also find past episodes. You can also find past episodes on the site, semicast.com, where you'll find all of our other videos and things, where you'll be able to see the Strafe, and you'll be able to see the Sombre. What's it called?
Scanner Sombre.
Scanner Sombre. So quickly I forget. Thank you very much for listening. We really love that you love doing what we love. No, that didn't work.
It did.
Did it?
Everything works.
All right, fair enough. We'll see you next week. Just remember, because I'm not going to ham fist it this time, we love that you love doing what you love. See you later.
See ya.